filling in for Grace Curley today. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, hey, give us a call at 844-500-4242. And as promised, we've got on the line right now is Peter Roff. He is a wonderful writer. I saw yesterday. He usually sends me an email with his pieces, and this one just really hit home. John Kerry, climate warrior or climate conman? So Peter, thanks for joining us this afternoon. Is he a warrior or conman?
Hi, Holly. You need to tell people they can read it in Newsweek.
That's right. That's right.
Newsweek.com.
Yep. So
they can read it while we're talking. Although I have to tell you, I'm still not over that minute of Nancy Pelosi. Clearly, the Botox has gone to the brain.
It sure has.
And
doesn't John Kerry? There's rumor has it
John Kerry.
Yes, rumor has it John Kerry gets a little bow too. So I mean, so is he a climate warrior or a con man?
He's a con man.
He's a con man.
He married a lot of money, and he has decided to devote the waning years of his life.
Yep.
To this war on global climate change. Having devoted the waxing part of his life to lying about our brave soldiers in South Vietnam and what they did, and lying about his own actions, and then trying to get himself elected president. But when you marry a woman who's got multi-million dollars several times over, you kind of get to do what you want between your 12 houses and your private jet company and your paddle sailboat and all these other things. So
windsurfing.
2 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah, 2 years ago, he got an award for climate activism from the group Arctic Circle, who wanted to present the award to him in Reykjavik, Iceland. Now, admittedly, Reykjavik isn't exactly on the top 10 list of most visited places in the world, but there are commercial flights out of the United States on a regular basis. How does Mr. Climate Warrior choose to go? By himself on a private jet.
Shouldn't they revoke the award right then and there? Right? Shouldn't they?
Well, his excuse was that I devote my whole life to this, and we offset the carbon exposed, but I just don't have the time to wait for commercial flights. I'm too important. I'm too busy. That's elite speak for one set of rules for me and my friends, and one set of rules for the rest of you.
Right.
And so regardless of your position on global climate change, whether you think it is the most urgent threat to mankind's continued existence on planet Earth, or whether you think the whole thing is a scam, everybody should be able to agree that John Kerry is a huge hypocrite.
Oh, he's an enormous hypocrite. And actually, I wanted to run an idea by you, Peter. I think I can solve climate change. I think I have the solution on climate change. You want to hear it? How we fix it?
Sure.
Okay. You can only lecture the people on climate change if you don't have multiple homes, and if you don't ride on private jets. That you have to, if you go on a jet, you've got to fly coach, not private jet. So that would take out Leonardo DiCaprio, Jane Fonda, Kate Blanchett, Emma Thompson. They'd all have kind of problems with that, wouldn't you say? We wouldn't have to hear from them anymore.
Don't forget Al Gore.
Al Gore, that's right.
Don't forget Al Gore.
That's right. That's right.
Actually, I think you could actually even reduce the climate footprint further if you just gagged Kerry. Because all he does is spew CO2 into the atmosphere. He negotiated the Paris Climate Accords. He's proud of saying that, which President Joe Biden has just put the United States back in.
I know. Killing more jobs, killing more jobs. Yep.
out of the climate accords, the U.S. met and exceeded its targets. France, where the accords were written, not even close to meeting their targets. China, not even close. India, not even close. So what John Kerry is trying to do is trade away America's competitive and technological advantages and trade away our jobs and the strength of our economy to countries that sign agreements that don't abide by them because they understand the appearance of the deal is more important than the reality. Which is, and please don't draw too tight a correlation here, but that's kind of like Chamberlain in Munich.
We sign these agreements, and we're the only ones, and it usually costs us dearly. One of my favorite parts of your piece, Peter, was House Speaker Nancy Pelosi used a media op in the early days of the pandemic to brag about the designer ice cream and her 2 freezers in her San Francisco kitchen. 2 freezers. Who has that? I mean,
freezers.
Yeah.
And what she was talking about was how all of the designer ice cream helped her and her husband and their children and grandchildren get through the boredom of the lockdowns. And remember, she we're in a lockdown, but she goes out to get her hair done in a lockdown salon that's open just to accommodate her. Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, masks everywhere, locking down everywhere, goes to a hugely expensive restaurant called French Laundry with no mask in violation of his own order. Muriel Bowser, the mayor of D.C., queen of the lockdown, travels to Wilmington to Biden's inauguration because it's important, even though she wants to prevent people from traveling inside and out of Washington, D.C., so they don't spread the pandemic. Bill de Blasio shuts down Times Square for the New Year's celebration to stop the spread of COVID, but goes himself and dances with his wife. Okay, the only time you may remember this, but Chris Christie,
yes, on the beach,
had to shut the beaches down.
Yes, that was not a good look for the
Jersey,
Christie family. Not a good look.
Then took his family on a beach vacation to a beach that only he could have access to because it was a state park and he was the governor. And he was widely and correctly ridiculed, and you still see
lambasted. He was lambasted over it, and he should have.
In the beach chair.
Yeah.
Okay.
He deserved it. He absolutely deserved it. I hate when Republicans do things like that. But I mean, that there's no accountability for the Democrats.
Called out rightly so, but nobody calls out the damn Democrats.
No.
Like Kerry, because he's virtuous.
No.
They hide behind their virtue. Their supposed virtue. You find as much virtue in a Democratic caucus meeting as you do in a Las Vegas whorehouse. But they do this stuff all the time. They vote against vouchers for poor kids to be able to go to private or parochial schools, but send their kids to St. Albans and St. Paul's and Choate and Andover and Phillips and all of these other expensive private schools where they can continue the network of their aristocracies of wealth. They don't really care about the poor people. They don't really care about the working class people. President Biden shuts down the Keystone Pipeline, and what does John Kerry say? Well, you should go work. Instead of working on the pipeline, you should go make solar panels.
Yeah, it's the same.
I mean, how callous is that?
It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. That they look down at, that average Americans who've had a job, they know their profession, and they look down their nose and say, go make solar panels. I mean, and I think most of them are made over in China anyways. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. And I'd love
every hardworking Union Democrat in Massachusetts, all great Americans, ought to be embarrassed that they ever voted for this guy for anything, because he has done nothing but work against their interests. He sent their jobs overseas. He's trying to raise the price of their air conditioning in the summer and their heating oil in the winter.
We're getting it every which way.
When they get thrown out of work, he doesn't care.
Yep, he doesn't care. You are so right, Peter. It's a really great piece in Newsweek. John Kerry, climate warrior or climate con man. Peter says, con man, you got to take a look at this piece. Peter, how do people follow you? Where do they get more information? Because you're always doing some great pieces out there.
Well, I'm on Newsweek.com. You can follow me on Twitter. It's at Peter Roff.
You haven't been kicked off yet, huh?
And I'm there for the moment.
Okay.
Nowhere else to go, and I haven't been shut down yet. But, cancel culture is real, so Get in while you can.
Well, you keep writing pieces like this, you're going to be canceled, Peter. But we love you. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Holly. Good to talk to you.
Yeah, have a good Super Bowl weekend. I'm Holly Robichaud, filling in for Grace Curley. We're going to be right back and so much more to discuss this hour. Stay tuned.
Listening to The Grace Curley Show.
This hour of The Grace Curley Show is brought to you by Old New England Soap. From bath bombs to candles for her and shave soap for him, Old New England Soap has what you need for Valentine's Day. Order today